Perfect Turd Podcast, episode 99, Lamar. The Black Holler.
Yes. Black Holler. This was sent from Wild Eye Releasing. Basically, the breakdown of the movie is a young black woman by the name of Laquita. She is going to a new school, and just as they, get her enrolled, they're like, hey, you got to go on this camping trip. And boy, oh boy, is it a camping trip full of gore, kind of sex, and just random stuff that happens. So it's a horror movie in the woods, basically.
It had a good setup. I like the opening scene was really funny.
Yes.
Because it's trying to explain the backstory of this campsite or whatever.
Yeah.
And it's like from the 1950s, and there's a couple in the woods having sex, as always.
Of course.
That always happens, and the guy gets killed in a funny way. So it got me going. I was like, okay, this is gonna be funny. Set up the vibe.
Yeah. As the movie went along, like you said, it has a base. Mm-hmm. It kind of flounders every once in a while because they do what everybody is doing now, the 80s. And
okay. I like that part though.
It does. It's okay, but I feel like they missed some points with the 80s. Okay. It's not 80s enough, I feel like. Or maybe because I feel like they should have had like way more like, of the hairstyles and stuff like that.
See, like, I think the big flaw of the movie is something else.
What do you think?
But before we talk about that even, we've got to talk about the main character. She's cool. Like, she's like, I guess the one ethnic person not the one ethnic person because...
Whoa, Joe.
Because one of her teachers, of course, is a very, very white man that claims he's Native American.
Yeah.
And he does all the rituals and everything.
Does all the rituals and everything. Like you said, doesn't look Native American, though. Yeah. And, who are we to judge someone's lineage just because of how much they don't look like the people that they claim to be? But, and she's, the one black person. Well, there was like one black person sprinkled in, like, into like the opening scenes and stuff like that. But that person wasn't the main character. She's like the main character. Yeah. So she's the one black person around a bunch of white people going into the woods.
And they constantly, the characters are referencing it. Like everyone got a T-shirt that said Black Holler, which is the name of the woods. But they gave hers said HOLLA. So.
Yes. And that's the good stuff.
Yeah, I like that.
That's funny, but like I feel like it's almost like the joke kind of hung a little bit too much. It's kind of like when someone tells you something funny and they keep on like trying to tell you the joke over and over again. They don't let it space out. So that's what I felt.
And I liked her character. That she had a cool backstory. Like apparently, as a child, she was. Her parents died, right?
Right. Yes.
And then she was taken in by a martial arts master, who was a gay man. So then she had two daddies. They had that whole scene and stuff, and so she knows martial arts. So she's a badass and all this. So that was all cool. Like I liked all that.
Yes.
I thought the big flaw of this movie was they were putting in too many characters, and they were trying too hard to make them all like the stereotype. Like this is the stereotype, heavy metal guy. This is a stereotype, emo girl. That's what I thought.
Can we remember all the characters? Because there's like the goth girl, then there's the dude that's like, there's the pot smoking people, then we have the but the rebel alcohol users. Then we have the nerdy kid. And that's where I feel like they didn't go far enough because they could have just had just a couple of characters.
That's all they needed. Yeah.
They just needed a couple of those, but they had to like cover all the bases. But to me, that made it feel thin because you don't have time with each of those characters.
Right.
So that's what I feel. And it's like, we got to talk about like, I think he was funny, but that's part of like the joke that goes on too much. The guy that thinks he's Indian, or he is Native American.
Yeah.
it was kind of like, we get it. Like, you're not that Native American.
I thought that was okay. You see, I thought the characters that I remember the most is, of course, the main character.
Right.
His character. You know, because those were the two characters that they did give some kind of backstory to. But yeah, I mean, at least those characters, like, they're not super generic like the other characters or super stereotype, but they're giving them something.
Yeah.
Where the other ones are just kind of like, oh, we have this guy so he can do this. And then it just glances by, you know? I think that's where the little bit of a downfall for me was the characters are there, but they don't serve much purpose. Where they could have. Like, their gimmick could have served a purpose.
Exactly. That's what I feel like this problem. Yeah, that's where it's like a weird thing. Like you're saying, like it's their characters didn't really have enough. For me, it didn't go far enough because they're so light. They're so like, sprinkled. It's just kind of like, but there's potential there.
Yeah, there's a lot of cool potential. There's a lot of potential with the main character because she's got a cool backstory. She's cool, the actress and everything. So there's a lot that could have been done with that, and it just kind of it went by very fast. Like you know. But you could bring her back and put her in other kind of scenarios. I think.
Well, I guess we will go to the 90s. Maybe she becomes a teacher because, she saw how bad things went on these camping trips.
I did find the movie pretty funny, though. Like, I was laughing out loud. Like, a lot of these movies where they have these kinds of jokes, and this is like, okay, whatever. But no, with this one, I was laughing out loud. On certain parts.
Okay, yeah.
So, I don't know. So, what do we rate it?
I'd say it has potential. It's a 2.5 for me.
Really?
Yeah. It just leaves something for something to be desired. You know what I'm saying? Like there's too many parts where it's thin and it's like, oh, just build it up a little bit. Yeah. I do like the main character. Mm-hmm. The villain had a cool backstory, but everything else was just like, ugh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
What do you think?
I think it's a little high. For me, it was like a 3.5.
Okay.
Because even though it did lack with some of the characters and their development and all that, I still found it funny. Like the scenes. And for me, if I watch something and I'm entertained by it, I'll give it a pass on some of the stuff. And they had enough funny stuff in there where I was like, okay, this is all right.
Okay.
So, and like I said, I do really, really like the main character. Like, she's a cool character.
Bring her back.
Yes.
Black Collar 2. She's a substitute teacher, and they go up against zombies.
That would be a good one.
And then she has to teach the kids and connect with the kids. The sister act.
That would be
where
a kind
they
of
bring in a badass martial artist to teach kids, and then they have to use their skills against zombies. Do you hear us Wild Eye releasing? That's the sequel.
That would be pretty funny.
Yes.
All right, so that wraps this one up. But this is episode 99, Lamar, which means
it is.
Our next episode is going to be episode 100. And we have something very special. Let's say what it is, sir.
We have the man behind Full Moon Studios, Charles Band. He's going to be with us. We interview him talking about his new book, talking about, his pretty much his history with B movies. And, it's it really is something insightful into what he's done for B movies and then also just being a filmmaker. So we're excited to have him just for our 100th episode. So that was pretty awesome.
Yeah. It's going to be awesome. He's really, really cool. And his new book is on pre-sale as we speak. Mm-hmm. And then by the time episode 100 comes out, it'll be for sale the next day, actually. So check out the pre-sale, Memoirs of a Puppet Master. Mm-hmm. So very cool. We're super excited for that. And yeah, man. All right. I guess that wraps this up.
Yep.
Peace.
Deuces.